Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Tuesday tip. I know it's Wednesday, but I wanted to get one out after missing a couple weeks due to a conference. I had a little mini vacation and my school residency. So, let's call it your Wednesday wisdom as opposed to the Tuesday tip. But as leaders, one thing is it's easy to carry the weight of the day home each day. We walk through the door still replaying meetings, the latest numbers, or difficult conversations, only to unload all that stress onto our spouse and our family. And not only does this prevent us from being truly present, it can also lead to our loved ones resenting the very thing we're working so hard for. Years ago, a mentor told me about an owner who struggled with this. His solution? The railroad tracks he crossed every day commuting to and from work. That bump bump. That was his mental cue. On the way home, he used that moment to switch gears, leaving work behind, turning his attention to his family, gratitude, and needed rest. And then the next day, in the morning, the same tracks, boom, boom, reminded him to shift back into work mode, refreshed and focused. Just 2 weeks ago, I was coaching a newly engaged salesperson. He was all excited, obviously, but he wanted to be more present with his fiance, and he was worried about falling into this trap. I shared the railroad story, and I asked, was there a similar moment on his drive? And he smiled. He's like, actually, there's a literal fork in the road I pass every day. So that became his signal. That was where he was going to let go and start thinking about home. And one final insight, which is kind of interesting. One of my fellow doctorate students, who's a year ahead of me, just finished her research. And it kind of adds to this topic. What she studied was what happens when people reflect on positive moments they had with their family before coming into work. And her findings were really fascinating. She found out that people who thought about things like they helped their kids with their schoolwork, or had a deep conversation with their spouse, or simply just like they did the chores around the house. By thinking these things on their way in, they became more resilient, more focused, and more engaged that day at work. And even more incredible, let's say nothing notable happened that night before. Well, just thinking about any past positive moment with their family had the same effect. So, tomorrow, as you make that drive to work, don't just shift into work mode. Take a moment and reflect on the good you've done at home. It might just make you a better leader. And when you walk through that door tonight, think about your family and try to put away all the stuff that you've got that's stressing you out. Thank you.